Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's Dion's Daily Dose. I am your host, Dion, and I am here with my friend Shawn.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We've got a very, very interesting story, and it goes to what feels like a never-ending stream of companies and products that are trying to kill us. Every time we turn around, I can distinctly remember at minimum 3 to 5, definitely 3, but I think there were more products or things that either cause cancer or are toxic that are being intentionally or accidentally introduced into our food supply. Today, we have the chicken giant Tyson Foods. Apparently, they are dumping. I'm not sure. We'll read the article, but 87 billion with a B, 87 billion gallons of toxic waste, including cyanide, blood, and feces into U.S. rivers and lakes. Wow. How much is that? That is enough to fill 132,000 Olympic-size pools.
Wow.
Really gives you an understanding of exactly how much waste we're dealing with here, how much toxic material.
And where's the EPA?
That's a really good question. So this story is from Daily Mail, I believe. There's the headlines. Again, Tyson Foods dumps 87 billion gallons of toxic waste, including cyanide, blood, and feces into U.S. rivers and lakes, enough to fill 132,000 Olympic-sized pools. The meat processing giant released 186,000 tons of toxic chemicals from 41 factories into rivers and lakes between 2018 and 2022. 186,000 tons. Scientists were only able to count discharges from a third of its factories because most meat processing plants do not have to report figures. Now, that's a problem. That is a problem right there. It gets better, of course. The chemicals have been linked with, you guessed it, cancer, blood disorders, thyroid disease, and brain defects in children. The sheer scale of the poison flowing into the country's rivers and waterways is starting to emerge after scientists took a look at one of America's biggest meat processors. Tyson Foods released, here we go, 87 billion gallons contaminated with cancer-causing cyanide, nitrates, chloride, phosphorus, and oil directly from 41 plants into public waters across 17 states between 2018 and 2022. The toxic water would cover 165 square kilometers to a depth of 2 meters and fill 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools every hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a freaking lot. How many miles is 165 square kilometers? Do you know offhand?
No, I don't.
Let's
But
find out, because I'm genuinely curious.
say 148. We'll see.
You say 148?
Yeah.
Let's see. 102.526.
Okay, I was way off.
Okay, yeah, you were a little off. So 102.5, so 102 and a half square miles to a depth of 6 feet deep.
Wow.
Roughly. 2 meters is about
That's
3 feet.
That's
so,
a lot.
Yeah. That is a frickload of chemicals. But the study by the Union of Concerned Scientists looked, at just 2% of meat processing plants nationwide, leaving the total figure terrifyingly uncertain. Holy crap, dude. 2%? What? The report's authors slam feeble federal regulation and state houses in the pocket of a, quote, big ag, which can pollute with impunity. As a multi-billion-dollar company, Tyson can treat even hefty fines and penalties for polluting the environment as simply the cost of conducting business its way, they wrote. This has to change. You know, it's hard to argue with them. It's really, really hard to argue with them in this case. Wow. Continuing on. There are over 5,000 meat and poultry processing plants in the United States, but only a fraction are required to report pollution and abide by limits. Agriculture consumes more fresh water than any other human activity, and meat processors use nearly a third of that, leaving it awash with toxic chemicals, blood, feces, microorganisms, and pathogens, including our favorite E. coli and Enterococcus. Yeah, Enterococcus. I don't know what that is. Enterococcus. I know what E. coli is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what Enterococcus is. Let's find out, because that's what we need is more good news. All right, here it is. Enterococcus. A streptococcus of a group that occurs naturally in the intestine, but causes inflammation and blood infection if introduced elsewhere in the body. Oh yay. That sounds fun. 15 states suffer drinking water with higher than permitted levels of nitrates, which lead to blood disorders and brain defects in infants, and have been estimated to cause up to 300 cases of cancer a year in Iowa alone. Half of the contaminants found in the study were dumped into the waters of Missouri, Illinois, and Nebraska, including 8,000 tons from Tyson's biggest plant at Dakota City, which happens to be just 500 feet from the Missouri River. So there's a chart over here. Water pollutants discharged from 41 Tyson plants, 2018 to 2022. And on the left, it lists the pollutant, and on the right, the total discharge in pounds. Chloride, 138,073,780 pounds of chlorine. Wow. Total dissolved solids, 82,506,383. Sulfate, 40,283,163 pounds of sulfate. Nitrogen, 34,248,180. Total suspended solids, 27,644,162. Biological oxygen demand, also known as microorganisms, 15,242,691 pounds. And it continues. Chlorides and sulfates, 13.4 mil. Sodium, 7.5 million. Phosphorus, 5 million. Oil and grease, 3.9 million. These are all in pounds, obviously. Chemical oxygen demand, 2.4 million. Carbonaceous, 1 million pounds. Fluoride, 76,000 pounds. Aluminum, 57,000. Iron, 41,000. Boron, 31,000. Total residual chlorine, 8,548 pounds. Zinc, 5,300 pounds. Copper, barium, foaming agents, manganese, cyanide, hydrocarbon, total phenols, selenium, nickel. These are all like triple digits. Silver, 2 double digits. Mercury, 0.01. All pollutants, all together, everything, 371,722,803 pounds. So, yeah. Wow. I'm speechless. So, quote, this Tyson plant helped put me through college and supports a lot of migrant workers, Rogelio Rodriguez of Conservation, Nebraska, told The Guardian. Now, I'm going to stop right here because I do think this is interesting. I don't know if you remember, but Tyson was actually in the news recently. They were talking about how they are looking forward to hiring migrants. As a matter of fact, they just laid off a bunch of Americans. And they're talking about hiring migrants. Tyson has not been particularly favored in the news recently. It certainly seems like it's one bad thing after another when it comes to Tyson Foods. But there's a dark side, like the water and air pollution, that most people don't pay attention to because they're just trying to survive. If regulations are lax, corporations have a tendency to push limits to maximize profits. We learned that during COVID, the article says. And I'm just going to pause right there because they mentioned COVID, so I'm going to mention it too. You know, the regulatory agencies, such as the FDA, the EPA, things like this, they're in place to protect us from this kind of bullshit. That's the entire freaking point of their existence. Why then is Tyson able to dump billions of gallons into our waterways?
That's a good question.
The article continues. Across Nebraska, the firm's 5 largest plants released more than 55,000 tons of pollutants, including 2,000 tons of nitrates. Once in the waterways, the toxic discharges join the chemical runoff from fields fertilized by the state's highly consolidated agriculture sector and start to make their way downstream. Algae thrive on the chemical mix, sucking oxygen out of the water, killing fish, and creating dead zones all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. But they also affect the human population, increasing cases of pneumonia, bronchitis, and asthma among people living nearby. The effect is compounded by the 7,600 tons of bacteria leaving the factories, which feast on the oxygen previously available in the rivers and lakes. With this biological load compounding the oxygen depleting effects of its nitrogen and phosphorus pollution, Tyson is truly sucking the life out of aquatic habitats, the report's authors wrote. The 90-year-old company sits on the Fortune 100 index and earned $53 billion in 2023. Operating brands. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention. These are the brands that they operate. Just a few examples. Jimmy Dean, Hillshire Farm, Ballpark, and Wright brand. And supplying outlets, including KFC, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and Walmart. Be on the lookout for things produced by Tyson. All I'm going to say is vote with your wallet. If you do not appreciate the practices of Tyson as a corporation, why would you buy anything from them? It says here, how much wastewater does Tyson Foods produce? In 2022, Tyson Foods generated 18.5 billion gallons of wastewater across 41 facilities. Now, that's in a single year. In 2022, 18.5 billion gallons that could fill 3.25 Olympic-sized swimming pools every hour. We already covered this, between 2018 and 2022, estimated 87 billion gallons of wastewater. It's absolutely insane how they are allowed to get away with this. And it goes deeper into where the discharges are, how it's located on our waterways. There's a map here that shows where the worst offenses are. Amount of pollutants discharged in pounds. The big red dot that we're looking at is 10 million to 60 million in pounds. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 of the big old dots, and then 1 million to less than 10 million. There's a whole bunch of those. And it just goes down from there. It was fined $2 million. $2 million in 2018 by the Department of Justice after more than 100,000 fish were killed by a discharge of ammonia at Clear Creek in Missouri. And it paid $3 million to settle a lawsuit in 2021 over the death of 200,000 fish in Alabama's Black Warrior River. You ready for this? But the fine amounted to it says, but the fine amounted it should be too just, 0.006. So 0.006% of the $47.05 billion it received in revenue that year. Absolutely. It's mind-blowing to think of that kind of money earned by a company. And then that would be like fining me 2 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately, because that's how little it impacted them. Tyson has vast wealth at its disposal, so it can withstand even multi-million-dollar pollution penalties, the report notes. Agree with that. Chlorides are corrosive, and the impact from Tyson's biggest single discharge is felt on the pipes and systems of water infrastructure itself. Sulfates, meanwhile, are responsible for intestinal and stomach diseases in those exposed to too many. EPA publishes data on toxic discharges from just 300 of the 7,000 meat factories across the U.S. Why the frick do we have an EPA?
That's a good question.
Like, legitimately, if they're not doing their job, and it certainly appears that they're not, why do we have an EPA? And this just goes in further to Congress delegating their authority to these various 3-letter agencies, which don't do their job or turn their resources on someone they politically disagree with, as we are seeing with President Trump. The FBI, various agencies are going after him rather than going after real enemies of the state. It's mind-blowing. This government's a freaking joke, man. It's a joke. It agreed to update its regulations after a lawsuit by environmental groups and is expected to roll out its new rules in September next year. Woohoo! Give me a break. But it has said it is minded to opt for the weakest option on the table, which critics claim will still allow billions of gallons of toxic waste to flow unchecked into the nation's waters. Bruh. This is some stupid shit. I'm just going to say this is ridiculous that a company like Tyson is allowed to pollute our waters. It's not their waters, it's our waters.
Mm-hmm.
It belongs to we the people, and these companies are just pissing in it. Like, yeah, just send it to the river. Who cares? Who cares? Just let it slow off there, whatever. It's absolutely insane. If you guys want to go and read this article, feel free. It shows here pollutants by state 2018 to 2022. The closest one to us is Illinois. And amount discharged in pounds, 52,725,438 pounds of pollutants discharged.
And you'd think the
in
states
Illinois.
would do something about it since the federal government's not.
You would think. It is absolutely mind-blowing how, dude, I can't even, like, it's hard for me to even articulate how ridiculous this is. Oh my God. Like, I can't even articulate how stupid and out of date and useless an agency like the EPA is when they are allowing our children to be poisoned by this shit. Because that is what it amounts to.
I wonder if lobbyists must be pretty powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
Tyson Foods.
I mean, we're talking billions and billions of dollars. It says right here, the fight over the new EPA regulations is also well underway in DC, and Tyson contributed nearly half the $4.3 million spent by the meat processing industry on lobbying in the Capitol in 2023. Just prime example. They're buying our politicians.
Mm-hmm.
They own them. And so they don't give a damn about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. I don't know how many times I have to say it. The government is not your fucking friend. It's not. It doesn't care about you at all. It cares about itself. Because the government is made up of people, and people are flawed. People, and I've said this before, and I do believe it. I think the majority of people who initially put their names on the ballot are in the right frame of mind. They do it to make their community better, whether that's, in their neighborhood or in their state or in Washington, D.C. I believe that. But it doesn't take long for these people to forget what they're fighting for, or for their priorities to greatly change from, say, fighting for the little guy to fighting for the fatter wallet. And I think that happens way more.
The swamp is powerful.
The swamp is like almost omnipresent. It really is. And it is exceedingly powerful, because we've seen it with these various blackmail schemes. We've seen it with Epstein. I mean, we know what was going on there. It was a combination of CIA and Mossad gathering intel on people and blackmailing them so that they would do what they wanted. Yeah. There's, you can call it the deep state or the shadow cabal or whatever the hell you want to call it, but it's intel agencies probably thinking they're doing the right thing. I mean, I wouldn't have said that a few years ago, right? I would just call them all traitors and be done with it. But look at the way people acted just with COVID, right? They were willing to completely suspend the Constitution of the United States so that they didn't get a cold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talking about turning their neighbors in, shipping people to, quote, re-education camps between the hatred for Trump and the hysteria with COVID. It mystifies me how people can think that to this level, the ends justifies the means, right? Because Trump is literally the German dictator, right? Seriously, guys? And so, in that circumstance, in order to prevent fascism, in order to prevent evil tyranny, then it's okay to break the rules. It's okay to break the law. It's okay to do all these things that they did to try to prevent Trump getting elected, Trump getting reelected, and now Trump being on the ballot. It's okay for them to break the law.
They're throwing everything they can at him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have said it before, and I stand by this. Trump is imperfect. He's a man. He makes mistakes, right? There's some stuff he's done that I wholeheartedly disagree with. But I think he's our only chance at this point. There is not a single other person running for president that has a chance in hell of draining the swamp. I had hope for RFK Jr., but his globalist VP pick, absolutely not. And he's been awfully cozy with some of these globalist entities and organizations. RFK is not our savior. He is not the answer. I don't think Trump's our savior either. Let me be clear about that. I think Trump's a man who has made some mistakes, but Trump is the only one who I think learned his lesson from the first time and said, okay, I need people who are actually loyal, not just people who pretend to be loyal. Hopefully.
Yeah,
this administration, he's got to do better than he did last time, man, because last time was a clusterfuck.
Yeah, he picked some terrible people.
He absolutely did last time. I won't even pretend to argue with that, because good God in heaven.
But he did a good job with what he had.
You know what? I will absolutely give props where it's due. There are some things, again, that he did that I disagree with, most notably red flag laws and bump stocks, which I have a friend of mine. We're going to have a discussion. He used to believe that the bump stock ban didn't matter because bump stocks suck in his opinion anyway. They make you inaccurate, We'll discuss it. Tune in to Coffee Break. Jim and I are going to have a long talk about that. He has come around. I'm going to put it that way. He has come around to understand that we've got to stop catering to these fucking nut jobs. Yeah. We have got to stop going, okay, yeah, we'll give them just a little bit. We'll, quote, compromise.
And that's my problem with Mike Braun. He was talking about how we need to compromise on gun rights. And I say, no, on certain things, yes, compromise isn't always bad, but on guns.
Right. We're done compromising.
On guns, yes.
The bottom line, the way that the Second Amendment was intended, if you look at the Federalist Papers, the guys who wrote the fucking papers were the same guys who wrote the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and they said civilians should be at least as well armed as the army, the standing army, right? Which means we should have at least the weapons they do, if not better. That sounds exactly like shall not be fucking infringed to me. If the more that we compromise, the more they come for. They're not coming for your guns. They've told you they're coming for them.
Yeah, Senator Feinstein in a 60 Minutes report, like in the 90s, said, yes, we're coming for your guns, and not in that sense, but
yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at what's his name? Beta Aurora. What is
from
Beta
Texas
male guy? Yeah, the dipshit from Texas. You know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah,
he ran for governor.
Yeah, we're coming for your AR-15. Shut up.
Yeah, he ran for governor.
Yeah, and lost. Bad. Thank God. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the sad fact is we are absolutely in a war already. That's just however you want to look at it, a culture war, a propaganda war, a health war. These companies, these politicians, they do not give a damn about you. Companies are all about the profit, and they'll break whatever laws they need to, whatever guidelines, all that. They don't give a damn about that crap. Because as you see, when they get these multi-million-dollar fines, it's a rounding error in their books. That's all it is. That's it. It's the interest from a single account in like a day. They don't care. So it's going to take a lot more for them to care. And my personal proposal, don't buy shit from Tyson. All these other brands that they own, all of them, take your money elsewhere. There are other options. And I'm not saying they're any better, but
yeah, you can vote with your dollars.
I absolutely vote with your dollars. I'm a huge advocate of that. And I'm not saying boycott anybody. I'm not calling for anything other than using your brain, learning what these companies are and who they like, what brands are theirs, and making the conscious decision whether or not you want to support them. And I think that's important no matter what. That's why I don't go to fucking Starbucks anymore. Like I used to I'd go to Starbucks on my way to work, right? And then like I actually learned where Starbucks stands on some things, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving them any more money, right? Plus they're expensive. They're so insanely freaking expensive, dude. Like, and it has been, like I would get a $5 cup of coffee. Yeah, sure. Because it was good. It was yummy. But it's so insane. You know what? I just saw the wife was telling me about this female who spent, I'm trying to think, because I don't know if she was an adult or not. I don't know if she was, that's why I say female instead of woman or girl, because I don't know her age. But she spent like $400 on Starbucks over the course of X amount of time. And it was nuts. And the guy's like, buy a fucking coffee maker. Like, but I don't have a coffee maker. So buy one. With the money that you spent, you could have bought several good ones too. Anyway, that's all for today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you taking the time with us, and we'll see you again very, very soon. As always, God bless you, God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America. I hope you have a wonderful day.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Shawn Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.